Welcome back to the 24th Man podcast. Today we have on none other than the walking cauliflower himself, Luke Reimer. Lukey, how are
Yeah, good, mate. I'm not sure about that nickname, but
you? Do you mind giving the viewers a bit of a close up of those ears?
there's one. There's the other.
They are juicy.
You're not fitting any AirPods in them, are you?
I definitely can't.
What do you go? Do you just go for overhead beats on your ears these days?
They fork out a couple $100 for beats after they happen. Oh, well.
Yeah, right. What age did they start appearing, mate?
As soon as I came down here, back end of 2019, I got this one, and then pre-season 19 to 20, I got this one. So pretty much instant.
Far out, mate. Putting your head where you shouldn't. So you've gone into your third pre-season now down at the Brumbies?
Fourth pre-season, third season in the main squad.
Nice. And how did you find pre-season this year?
It was a bit different. I guess it wasn't as grueling as some of them have been in the past. We're more focused on probably around skills, whereas a lot of the time, you get flogged in hot weather and it's not too fun, but it was actually real enjoyable. It didn't feel as taxing on the body as some have in the past, but no, it was good. The boys all enjoyed it and got good games out of it.
Would you say that obviously you compared that pre-season to the past? Would you say that's because the landscape's changing in terms of players having to look after their bodies more and the clubs also arguably being more responsible, or would you just say you've got lucky and they've decided to throw some catch pass in there as opposed to tempo runs?
No, I'd say it's probably a bit of that, but it's also like when I first came down here, we've got pretty much a completely new coaching staff. I think there's probably one guy in Laurie Fisher who's still here. So we've got a new head coach this year. We've got new SSCs. So everyone has their different style of training. But I don't know, last year and this year we've been pretty condition game focused, trying to get our skills up so we can hit those first trials running really pretty much.
How have the boys responded to, obviously you mentioned you got a new head coach, but I guess it's almost a return of a new head coach in Stephen Larkham. How have they responded to him since being away and coming back?
Pretty good. There's a few guys. Not sure that anyone was here when he was here. It's probably a few, but it's good. Like everyone was open to all these new suggestions in training and stuff, and I know he's personally said he's improved and learnt so much from when he was in Ireland and coming back here. I think he's got a new look on coaching and there's a real focus on bouncing stuff off the players more or less than telling us what to do. He's really getting input from the guys of what we think we need to get better at, and that goes with our game reviews as well and training reviews. Like if something's real down, we'll focus on that, and that's more of a buy-in from the boys as well. Like the boys aren't getting told and getting the finger pointed at. We're really all having input, which is I think is pretty beneficial.
Yeah, 100%. Do you find that I've noticed just over the years that the Brumbies do a great job like engaging with the community and with their fan base? Do you find that you do it more during the pre-season, or it's kind of equal throughout pre-season and in season?
I think it's easier to do it during the pre-season, especially we travel on like we have a Saturday game, we'll probably travel on a Thursday. So there's already 4 days that we can't engage with our fans down here. So in pre-season, we're all here pretty much. The 2 trials we've had, we've gone out to Griffith, and we went around to heaps of schools and stuff around there, which is in our catchment area, southern New South Wales, and also in Wagga. We went to a few schools around Wagga, and then on the way back in Gundagai. So I think it's easier in pre-season when we're all here, but there's still some early week engagements. I think we're training on Mondays. We train off-site, whether it be at a club field or a school field. And I think that's one of the things that he's really brought in to get that engagement, so that we all, show face in the community during the season.
Do you think it makes it a hell of a lot easier, given the fact that Canberra is kind of a little bit more confined than other areas? You can just go from, one area of Canberra, like the north side, to the other side in probably 30 minutes.
Yeah, 100%. Like I'm one of the things I love about here was not sitting in traffic, buddy, going from Warringah to Daceyville every day. But no, like I live about 2 minutes for training, and I think the furthest I've gone for engagement here would have been 20 minutes. So it's so easy, and it's easy to get out and do a big spread with it within the group. Send 3 guys to 10 different schools in the one day. Cover lots of ground, but it's much easier than sitting in traffic and going from one side of Sydney to the other.
Yeah, getting caught in the rat race.
Yeah,
I think you seem like you really enjoy that community engagement. I think I saw a reel on Instagram, on the Brumbies Instagram the other day. It shows you just running around being chased by kids. Who's the kid, they are or you?
Yeah, big debate on that. I copped a bit for that, for just one up in the kids, but well, that was one of the boys. He rounded up all the kids to go get me in this game of bull rush. So I do enjoy it. It's good fun. Some of them are real eye-opening. Some of the engagements and really puts stuff into perspective. But a lot of them are good fun.
Nice. You've been, obviously, you said you've been down in a professional or full-time professional environment for four seasons now, or three seasons, sorry. Going from an environment where you weren't necessarily full-time, how have you found that transition?
To be honest, it's been welcomed, because I don't have to juggle a job whilst training. I think, like, when I came down here, went into pre-season, wasn't working, and then COVID hit, came back to Sydney for a couple of months, and when I came back here, I was in that part-time, I was in the academy, and I wasn't really doing anything during the day. So I worked at a bar here, and then went off to academy training in the afternoons. But it's good. I personally like it how I only have to go to one place every day, train all day. But it's been tough on the body, but it's been welcomed with less stress. I know a few guys studying and stuff, which adds to the pile. But I'm definitely enjoying being full time, and that transition wasn't too hard. It was just tough on the body.
Are
How
you?
sorry, Benny,
Go,
you go.
George.
I was
No,
going to
go.
say, you've come from, playing at the Rats. Is that correct? In the Shoot
Yeah.
Shield.
Yeah.
The Australian rugby is obviously, people say it's in quite a difficult position in terms of where it sits below the other sports. But a lot of players that we have spoken to, a couple already, Ben Maher last week, and then, Geordie Reid the week before, they've all come from the Shoot Shield. How valuable would you say that league is to a young Australian rugby player? Because if that goes, it obviously won't go. But what I'm saying is, if it does, there's not going to be much opportunity for the young players in Oz. So how valuable is that league to aspiring players?
Yeah, Shoot Shield's great. Like I miss playing there. Miss playing at the Rats. It's such good quality of footy for club footy. And lots of guys get picked up from that because a lot of coaches and managers and stuff at clubs watch it in Australia and overseas. And I think that's and the same with the Queensland comp. They got the Hospital Cup, but their comps are unmatched across Australia. Shoot Shield. So I think if it was to get lost, I think there'd be a real drop in the development of players. A lot of clubs that have their own academies now and real developing up from under 16s upwards. I personally didn't have that. I came out of school and went to the Rats. So I played at school and didn't play club footy. And I guess Australian rugby probably has to rely on that if we were to lose the Shoot Shield, especially the private school system. There's such an emphasis on footy at some of those schools. So, yeah.
I guess that leads me to my next question: is what's your experiences when you went to Barker College, which is a pretty prestigious rugby school. How did you have much interest when you were in your last year at school from franchises to go there as an academy player? And how did you find that, if you did?
When I was in school, I didn't have anything really, anything from any clubs. I think it was kind of expected from going from that New South Wales schoolboys that I was going to be in that New South Wales academy. I think there were heaps of guys in the schoolboys in both teams that went pretty much straight into the academy. There were a few guys who got offers elsewhere, a few league offers from some of those guys, but yeah, I didn't have any interest or offers from anywhere. It was only till after school really that I got an offer from the Brumbies here.
And then I guess talk us through now that you are full time. What's it like doing contract negotiations or renegotiations? How are you finding it?
It's easier when you're playing well, I guess. Like when I had my first negotiation to stay here, there was a bit of I had to fight for it because I hadn't really played yet. I hadn't proven myself. But I just signed one midway through last year to be here till 24. So that was a bit easier. I had a few games under my belt, and I was playing well. So I guess that relieves the stress when you're actually getting games. But there's a few guys that have to negotiate and they haven't played or they've been injured, and I know that it can be tough. It can be back and forth. Trying to what you want, but the club also doesn't know. There's a bit of grey area around that. But yeah.
How's the group go in terms of helping each other out like that? Like, you know, whether it's away from training or away from rugby matches, and just being a group of mates effectively, and like understanding that each other has those issues and making sure that you're having fun away from the paddock.
Yeah, there's a pretty big emphasis on just like getting around each other. Especially this year, Steve's been pretty big on connection outside of footy. We've had a few socials, a few lemonades, but no, it's been good. I think there's a big emphasis on player welfare. So we got a player development manager who the boys can talk to, who works for Rupa, and she's at the club every day. So yeah, if there were any issues, it could be raised with her or even within the group. You know, the boys are all supportive, especially the senior guys and the captains and stuff.
What's been your most favourite, or what's been your favourite social this pre-season so far?
Probably we were planning to have an amazing race within about 5 different groups, but it started pouring down, and there was a bit of a safety issue with blokes on the scooters, on the electric scooters, going around Canberra after a few years. So we ended up just going to one of the club houses and yeah, having a bit of fun in the change room. But no, that was probably the favourite. Everyone dressed up and just looking stupid. But it never gets old.
Never gets old. How good. And then, am I right in saying before you signed with the Brumbies, you had interest from the South Sydney Rabbitohs? Is that right?
Yeah. So they were the first club to show me interest after, like, when I was out of school, and that was while I was in the TARS Academy.
And did you play rugby league growing up, or was that something that was kind of just, you know, completely out of the blue?
No, I've never played league, so that was why I ended up staying in rugby here, because like I'd be thrown into something I didn't know. But yeah, one of my mates' dad was tied up with the Bunnings, so he actually organised that through their GM and their Jersey Flag coach, and like made up a deal there. But yeah, like I was committed to go because I just didn't have anything else in rugby, and then about a week later, the Brumbies put something on the table.
Yeah, right. So you could have been playing in the NRL.
Could have been, but yeah, it wasn't to be.
You stayed with a bit of class. How good. How have you found going in school sport, or school rugby, I should say, being a schoolboy and being almost not to blow your own horn, but a big fish in a smaller pond, then going to a professional environment? You know, there's a lot of guys like you who are good at school, and being that smaller fish in a bigger pond. Have you had to check your ego a few times? Have the leaders kind of put you in your place some days?
Yeah, definitely. They definitely have. But what I found helped was that year in Shute Shield, you know, coming out of school and some of that school rep stuff, in some pretty good teams with some good players. Like, I didn't fully, you know, get belted, and then as soon as I hopped into Shute Shield, there were a few angry men, and they always want to bloody target the young guy. So yeah, I did get bloody smashed a few times, in Shoot, which helped me coming down here. And also when I was playing for the Rats, I'd train down here a few days a week and then travel back up. So I was getting that contact and that physicality and that fitness here. My first day of training here was a contact session, and I had buddy Alan Alatoa and Scotty Seo tackling me for reps as well. It was a 2-on-1, and I got belted constantly. So I guess going from that into being here for a couple of years, like, I've definitely had to check myself at times. Not get carried away with some things, but it's been a good prep going from school to Rats to come here.
Have you had to have a slow dance with anyone at the end of training?
I don't think I have, but I've definitely seen it happen. There's definitely been times where I probably needed to have a slow dance with someone, but I think it's been sorted out before the end of training.
Nice. What's your what are you usually whispering in the ear of someone after you've tackled them on the ground?
To be honest, nothing really anymore. I'm trying to get my breath back so fast.
Nothing to elaborate on air.
Oh yeah, that too. No, that was the biggest shock. Playing this, it's just like, it's so fast. I remember when my first game, I think I came on with about 25 to go or 30 to go or something. And I thought I'd been on there for about 15 minutes, and I looked up and it had been 5 minutes, and I was so, and it's still the same. When I'm making tackles, I'm not really chatting to the bloke I'm tackling, and they're not usually big tackles anyway, because I'm not bloody 130 kilos. It's making bloody props, that's for sure.
What? Sorry, go on, Benny. What frustrations did you encounter in your first couple of seasons at Brumbies before you broke through? Obviously, I know being a young player, sometimes you have a picture in your head of what professional rugby looks like, and the reality is for nine out of 10 players, it's never actually that. It's a lot harder. You have to be a lot more patient, and your face has to fit, as a young player. And I think we're seeing now more and more young players are getting a crack. But how did you deal with the frustration and your own ambition when you first joined the Brumbies?
Yeah, I guess I had to show the coach that I was able to play at that level. And that took a while. It took to the end of that pretty much the end of the super season, into the that semi of the Super Rugby AU. And it also was the case of I was one of the last men standing in the back row. I had a lot of injuries that year in 21. So, I came on there and I finally had a chance to show why and what I could do, and why I was down here. So I guess that opportunity, it took a while, but I've been grateful for it. And it's just tough. There's a lot of guys that don't get a crack. You might be in the squad, but you've never really proven it to the coach or the selection board. And that's sometimes it's out of your control. You might be behind some of the best Wallabies players in your position. I know our back row is pretty stacked competition wise with some of the boys in there, but it goes with any position, I guess. And a lot of guys end up going to different clubs to get that crack. We've had quite a few guys leave Brumbies and are starting, at other clubs. And like prime example of that is Mac Hansen. Like he was here for I think he was here for four or 5 years maybe, and didn't get too many games. And then the next year he's starting for Ireland. I think that shows, especially here, the quality of footy players we have. But yeah, there's a lot of guys who have to prove themselves day in, day out.
Do you think that Australian rugby is getting, for one of a better term, a little better at retaining more experienced guys, so that is that competition and forcing youngsters to prove themselves a little more?
Yeah, 100%. Like they just signed Alan Alatoa for another 4 years when he could have easily, made big bucks over in France or in Japan. So I think that will really push definitely the tight head young props to really step up and compete with him. But there's a lot of guys like that, like a lot of senior players that they're still holding on to, which is good, because the young guys coming through aren't just getting thrown into the deep end, and they're learning heaps off the older guys.
And I guess following on from there is to produce these guys. I guess it comes down to like the junior development and school rugby essentially. Like how did you find going through the school system? Am I right in saying you went from a public school and then went to a private school?
Yeah. So I went.
How did you find that transition and stuff?
Yeah, I went to Clara High to start with, and rugby there wasn't really a thing. I actually had to like round up guys to play rugby in my year, and my brother did that as well when he was there. But yeah, from going there to, I think the Barker coach saw me play because I was playing club footy then and rep stuff. I think he saw me play and offered me an all-rounder scholarship at Barker.
Well, what does that mean?
So I was academic of some sort. He offered me a spot at Barker there, and that's really when my footy ramped up. Like I just went from training, like maybe once a night at club, and then once a night for rep stuff the year before, and then going into we effectively had a pre-season during the summer holidays of my first year there. So, and that was every day. It was almost like a professional environment in the amount of training that we'd get through, before and after school or in that holidays. We'd be there from 6 a.m. till midday. That was a big step up. Like I wasn't used to that. I spewed in my first session, and I remember the coach said, "Welcome to Barker." I was guilty about that. But yeah, that 3 years I had at Barker there, and the pre-seasons we had with our coach were pretty intense. Going into the school rep stuff, there's the higher standards there, and you have to perform there to go on. I thought that transition was at first pretty daunting, and then once you get used to it, it's easier to step up those levels.
You obviously, when you were playing, you came out of school and you didn't have any offers. You had to go and play club footy. Were you content with that, or was the ambition always to play at the top? Were you pretty happy with where your life was at, or was there a lot of frustration in there?
Because I was in the TARS Academy there. Like the pathway there was to go from that academy and try and get signed at the TARS. So that's why I was playing club footy. I loved playing for the Rats, and that was the goal there, to get signed there. But and for the to get signed elsewhere, or to get an offer elsewhere to then go back and negotiate there. But no, I was pretty happy playing club footy. We had a bloody good team and a good bunch of boys. So that definitely I definitely missed that. But yeah, that process was pretty much to just stay there until then I got offered here.
Your first taste of club footy was actually almost a pre-season game, wasn't it? You flew up to Queensland with the crew and played the club championship game, effectively UQ, University of Queensland. How was that weekend?
It was a very good weekend. To be fair, I have talked to some of I think there's a guy here who used to go to UQ, and he played that game. And to be fair, they were playing a lot of second graders, and that's why we ended up winning by a mile. That year, I don't think they had any of their grand final or team or whatever it was, but it was a good footy game. We flogged them, but yeah, there was a very good party after.
Any stories?
None that are appropriate.
Too good.
I think we were at Prohibition or something, and Liam Wyndon just kept buying the big bloody Grey Goose bottles of vodka to get us one of the VIP booths. And there was about 15 blokes in this tiny booth, and it was hectic. It went on and on. I think Edinburgh might have been the best night on that night.
Very good.
It was a disgusting.
Say that again.
It was a disgusting plane trip home.
Yeah, I bet. Would have taken an hour? Would have felt like 4.
Yep. And I was actually sat between two of the props, and they didn't smell too good. Awful.
You mentioned earlier that there's a lot of competition for spots in the back row at the Brumbies, and I guess if you look at the back row, it's one of those things where you can cover all 3 spots, or you can be a bit more of a specialist. Would you say you're more of a specialist, open side?
Look, I only started playing 7 when I played schoolboys at 7, and that was because someone got injured. So I played 8 and 6 my whole life, or since under 12s or whatever. And I guess I'm I could still play either, but I guess the spot it's put me in, being down here, is Pete and Robbie are so good, and they're 8 and 6. So there was that spot at 7 that opened up after Pocock left here, and then Cusack left, and that was what I set my goals on, and that's what I'm still trying to achieve, to cement
it. How do you find, not even just yourself, but when speaking to other guys in your position, how they found the evolution of an open side flanker? Because I think like gone are the days of just having a Phil Waugh who is just constantly on the ball, or even, you know, like even Pocock. Like, there's a whole nother element to it now, you reckon?
Yeah, definitely. I think, you know, there's a lot of sevens that jump in the lineouts as well, whereas that was never the case. Like, especially with the shorter sevens that like were traditionally around, and a lot of moves and stuff, set piece moves. A lot of the sevens are ball playing, or the start of the move. So I think that there's been a big emphasis on skill, whether that's being able to jump in a line out or being able to throw a 10-meter pass and ball play. But yeah, it's definitely changed. Like, I wouldn't be the traditional seven shape that was 5-10 years ago. But yeah, I was in the skinnier, taller end of the spectrum there, I guess.
How tall are you?
187.
Yeah, okay.
What's that, like
how tall?
6'2"? 6'2", is it? Is that more?
6'2".
Yeah,
Just.
6'2".
How tall is Rob?
Without the afro, probably 6'4". The afro, 7 foot.
Mate, he is a giant.
Yeah, and he sucks to tackle. Sucks.
Yeah, I bet. There's not many guys at the Brumbies you'd like to tackle, is there? Apart from the backs.
There'll be a few backs that I would like, but some of the forwards, definitely not.
See, I think looking at like your direct competition in terms of Jerome Brown, Rory Scott, if they are, if there things that you look at their game and you're like they've got that over me and they probably need to improve at that, I'll go away and work on that? Or is it kind of like, no, that's what makes them good, I've got other things that make me good?
Yeah, definitely. I think, each of us have our own attributes and our own skills. I think, I can definitely say Rory's bloody fitter than me. He's bloody he runs wins the yo-yos and stuff, and that's something that I need to improve. And then I know Rome is just so physical and so solid up front. And like there's constant back and forth with us. Like we'll often go us three and do our individual skills all together, whether or not that's like passing or a few extra tackles and whatnot, getting over the ball and stuff. But yeah, definitely what, like, when you're not playing and you're watching them, you're definitely looking at their game and seeing, why did they get picked this week, or what do I need to bring to training this week so I can get picked. What are they doing? What can I do? Can I do that? And all that stuff. But there's definitely, to answer your question, definitely there's stuff that you look at and go, I need to fix that, or I need to improve that.
Yeah. And is there, like, going away from that, the competition side of things, is there, even just growing up, is there a physical attribute, and I think you might have probably alluded to it before, is there a physical attribute you wish, or you know that you've always got to stay on top of because it's probably not your dominant attribute?
Probably just like there's a bit of set piece stuff. Like I've never really jumped in a line out at a professional level. I think I'm like in about 3 lineouts that we have.
Front ball.
Yeah, back ball definitely at the best of times, but there's definitely stuff there. Like, I got to stay on top of my skill work. Like, you won't go very far professionally if you can't, catch a pass and accurately. So, like I've been doing a lot of work on that, especially coming back from shoulder injury. Trying to lose that. Like, I didn't touch a footy for 3 months really. So trying to get that back, and then trying to do that at speed, and then under pressure, and under fatigue. There's definitely things I've got to stay on top of.
In terms of your ambition moving forward, is it something that you don't look too far ahead with? Is there international ambition there, or is your main goal to cement yourself as one of the best in the competition?
Yeah, definitely. I want to go all the way. But yeah, at the moment, my focus is on having a really good season here, a consistent season, and I think as a team, our focus is on winning. New coach, we've got a lot of new combinations and stuff, and yeah, like, to be honest, personally, I'm more of a week to week kind of guy. My main goal will be, win this week or get up on my opposite number this week. But yeah, like, I definitely want to play for the Wallabies. That is the goal. But yeah, I'm not focusing about that at the moment. Even with the World Cup coming up, I'm more focused about my team and doing the best I can, so that the rest of us can go well.
What's Luke Reimer's favourite things to do away from the footy field?
Honestly, when I'm off the footy field, I'm pretty rooted, so I'm usually on the couch. But I love fishing. Went on a fishing trip up to Darwin on my time off in October, and that was just unreal. But yeah, just fishing or getting out, to be honest, or getting home. I haven't been home since probably early Jan, so getting home, seeing mates, my family, that's probably a big one.
How do you go when you get home and your older brother just wants to knock you about? Do you just give him a headbutt?
He doesn't. I think those days are over when he wants to do that. It's more. But yeah, it's good fun doing that. He hates it though. He's got those long days, but on site as foreman now, so he's bossing blokes around all day, and the last thing he wants to do is get wrestled by his little brother, who he's stronger than him.
You'll love that. Is what can you see life after rugby for you? What can you see yourself doing?
I want to be a firefighter, so that's something I've looked into. Something I don't have to go to uni for as well. But
am I right in saying you were studying at one stage?
No, not me.
No. Right.
Must have been. Came down here, but it's too much to juggle, and I didn't get into what I wanted to do, and it just wasn't enjoyable. But yeah, I definitely want to be a fiery. So whether or not that's rural or in the city, I haven't made that decision yet, and that will come later.
The waiting list can be like pretty long for that, I hear.
Yeah, it can be, but
you may as well chuck your hat in the ring now, mate.
Hopefully,
by the time you're out,
I might have to bloody go in the middle of nowhere to get a job.
Yeah, it's fair. Mate, we really appreciate you coming on, and all the best for your season.
Just one more question before you go. This is a question that we ask everyone that comes on the pod, and we've had very similar answers already. But what is one myth about being a rugby player?
That it's easy. That you get famous. One myth. Yeah, I would have to say that it's probably people look and say, "Oh, you're just a rugby player." That's a pretty easy job. It's grueling.
More so with social media, isn't it?
Yeah, especially when you get sticked up with looking like you're just bloody bullying kids and running around them.
You enjoyed it, mate, don't lie.
Yeah, a little bit.
Oh, mate, thanks very much for coming on. Appreciate your time.
No worries. Thanks for that.
Legend. Thanks for coming on, bro. Thank you. Have a good season as well. See you, mate.
All the best.